Live, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Actually, not welcome back because you weren't previously on the stream. Either way, welcome to the STiKS Live. This week, gonna have myself, Tommy, Goalie. We have Mr. Neil, aka is it Grumpy Gamer? Am I saying that right? Is it old Grumpy Gamer? Grumpy Gamer?
Grumpy old gamer, Epsilon Grumpy.
Okay. Okay, I like that. Well, we got a great show for you guys planned today. We have stuff talking about 18 plus. We have season 3 playoffs, and along with our questions from Twitter. But before we get to that, we're gonna go over a little bit of an intro, basically like a 30-second talk about yourself. You can chat sponsors, whatever you want to, your affiliations in the community as well. So I'm gonna start off with Tommy to kind of give his little bit of an intro, and we will get into the question of the week. So starting out with Tommy, then I'm gonna go to Neil, and then to Goalie, and then I will kind of close out our intros.
Hello. My name is Tommy. I do YouTube stuff. I'm now obviously affiliated with Excel as well, a UK-based organization. You can catch me on the YouTubes. That's where I do the majority of my work. I'm your resident ginger. That's pretty much all you need to know about me.
You use Scumpy, right? Basically the same thing.
Well, apparently.
You use video games as him.
I don't want to be the self-proclaimed EU Scumpy. I didn't make that up for myself. Let me just clarify that.
I think you did. I'm pretty sure you actually did.
No, don't even stir it. Don't.
It's like starting a rumor about yourself. I'm like, yeah, like it's true.
Yeah, like because I do that.
Right. All right. Well, there you go, Tommy. Mr. Neil.
I'm Neil, the Grumpy old gamer, Epsilon Grumpy. I am community manager for Epsilon Esports, and I cover all Epsilon social media. A little bit to do with sponsors, liaison with the players as well. Yeah, busy time for us with a lot of things going on, both PC and console. So, yeah, it's all going on. And as I say, I'll not mention the sponsors because it'll go on for too long. But yeah, we do thank them, all of them.
Absolutely, yeah. Very nice, Mr. Goalie. If you can't, I know Goalie's the producer of the show. If you guys don't know, he's very stressed. And you'll constantly be seeing him type and look around at his monitor. So just, go ahead.
Well, I try to mute myself when I type on stream. But, hi, my name's Goalie. You can call me Matt. I'm head of COD Sportspedia. Also, as you said, produce and run the STiKS. Huge shout out to SteelSeries. Wearing the new headset right now. I actually got the P300s on right now. SteelSeries sent me out 2 headsets. And actually got this is the Xbox version, the X300. Freaking awesome. I'm gonna keep trying these out. The Xbox version actually comes with a mix amp, or not a mix amp, but audio adapter that looks better than the Microsoft one, so I need to try that out. But huge shout out to SteelSeries for sending me a free headset.
Now, will you do an unboxing or like a review on your channel, or are you gonna do it on a stream? I like you to do one.
Possibly. I don't know.
I know I put you on the spot.
Maybe we'll see. Okay, but yeah, thanks to SteelSeries.
Can I just point something out from the chat?
Yes, feel free.
So Royce from the chat has just gone, "That's Tommy's dad."
No, I'm seriously not ginger. I know I'm blonde hair, but I'm seriously not ginger. That's for sure.
Wow. Yeah. I'd be so lucky to look like that in my later life. No, that is not my dad though. I just wanted to kind of. Well, yeah, maybe that's not my dad though. Yeah, continue.
Wait, who was that that put that in the chat? You said Royce?
Royce.
Okay, so we have
Royce,
officially figured out Tommy's esports dad. We know who Fox's esports dad is too. That's
right. We're uniting families over here.
We need to find me and Landon are still orphans. We need to find our fathers.
Could we be brothers possibly? Is that
brothers?
Can be my brother?
Okay.
Cool.
We'll do.
Yes.
We'll do that.
It's like Mike. We find like our dad happens to be an NBA star. That could happen. Maybe not. All right, Goalie's not in for this. Okay, guys, what is up? My name is Landon. I'm a YouTuber. I occasionally stream probably like once every 5 months. I like to do YouTube content. I'm a personal community caster, a bunch of different stuff, and that's really about it. So before we get into the question of the week, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, both G Fuel and Scuff. Very much appreciated. They do help us run our show, and make sure to use our codes, which I'm sure are listed somewhere on the graphics right now, or you can check down below. And our little links. What are those called? Like tabs, I guess you could say. Stream tabs, graphic tabby
tabs.
They're under the little box.
The little boxes.
Or they're in the video description.
They're the rectangles underneath the big box of us.
Yeah.
If we're talking to 5-year-olds, they know exactly what we're talking about. But we're getting to the intro, the question of the week. which is my favorite thing of the entire show. My entire week is basically based off this entire question. I wish that was true. Either way, if you were in a zombie apocalypse, okay, so this is like a scenario, and keep in mind, you can actually escape this zombie apocalypse, okay? So it is possibly escapable. I'm not going to go into it too much because it'd make a story out of it, but let's just say you can find the cure to cure the zombie. Okay, either way, if you're in a zombie apocalypse,
It's
and you
so
can
complex.
choose 3 Call of Duty community members. So that can be players, it can be people in the community, casters, whatever. It doesn't matter. YouTubers to be in this with you. So you have 3 people. Who would you choose and why? Now, Tommy, before we went live, we had 3 seconds left. Tommy's like, I have the dream team.
I have the dream team.
I want to hear your dream team, Tommy.
I don't think you guys are ready for this. I think you need to like take a sip of something before you hear this.
Okay,
I'm
Because
afraid
you're
you
gonna
have
be
I'm
like,
gonna take a
mine.
sip of my water. We're gonna
you're
pretend
gonna
that it's
be like,
fuel.
how did I miss these people on my list? Okay, so you ready?
So I'm afraid you have mine because mine's definitely the dream team.
No. Your list is it's like here, and then I'm like punching like a here.
So what if
Like,
ours are exactly the same?
Well, then that's just coincidence, really.
All
It's
right,
just-
all right, Scum. Go.
I mean, I
Go,
don't know
Scum.
anyone else's list, but no. So my first person is nothing out of the ordinary, Crim6. We all
Okay.
know he's a Navy SEAL or whatever, Marine, whatever.
Freak.
You know, he's pretty good when it comes to survival, so he says. Next person, Sensor. You kind of still in the community.
This
I've
isn't
gone
the
with
dream
him
team.
because of his pure strength.
This isn't the dream
And then last person. Are you
team.
ready?
Skill. Yeah. Hopefully,
Last person is Gandhi.
Okay, for what reason would be Gandhi?
Because, like, he's an animal.
He's a savage.
That's
He's
true.
a savage.
What he could do is he could
Why are
rip
you
off his
guys
shirt.
not, like, praising me right now? Like,
Gandhi could rip off his shirt and give it to you for warmth. Like, that's one thing I can see happening. Because he's normal. He's prone to doing that, right?
Yeah.
this plan's
Just-
gone down the drain. Move on.
Especially
move
if
on.
it's in the EU too. So
Okay, so Tommy's, I rate that a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
'Cause I like
Goalie?
Gandhi. Okay, goalie, you're
okay.
3 people that you choose to be in a possible surviving situation in a zombie apocalypse. Who would
Okay,
you
so
choose?
mine's a little weird. But
right.
we'll go with it. I want Hitch, because he's gonna be running around with his camera on the entire time to document
That's true.
everything.
That's
true.
good.
Oh.
I want Mike from Deserto because he's gonna be writing everything down and putting blogs on the internet for us.
I gotcha. So
And
you're,
then-
so you're going for like documentation, like all this stuff
and
is
then
happening.
I want Perplexed from Stunner.
We just got a new subscriber. Sorry to cut you off.
We have a new sub, Wisp.
Sub hype.
Wisp, thank you for subbing to the channel.
just
You're
keep
awesome.
coming.
I wish MLG would let me sub. It broke and it won't let me sub, and I haven't contacted support.
Thank you, Wisp. GB, welcome to the STiKS fan. Appreciate it, dude.
Good job.
Very much.
And I
Okay,
want.
So, hold on. You have perplexed.
Okay, yeah, I want
I'm
Perplexed.
trying.
The
I'm
reason.
trying to think of a.
Okay, the reason
way.
why I want Perplexed is because back during like the entire Aware situation and what was going on with Aware and Stunner back at like season 2, season 1, Perplexed gave up his spot in the pro league to let someone else to let someone else play with him. He was the captain of Aware.
So he's gonna sacrifice himself.
Yeah,
for you.
so he's gonna sacrifice himself if we're ever in that situation.
So you're already planning someone is going to die.
It's a zombie apocalypse, man.
Okay. I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. You're automatically. we have
What
3
started
people.
out? How
You're
many
going to
will survive?
sacrifice yourself for me.
I could just imagine Goldie's gonna be a scumbag. He's gonna do anything to stay alive. He's like, no, you stay behind. No, you stay behind.
Okay, so I have to ask you, what stops Perplex from saying I'm more valuable than goalie? Like, what do you bring to the table? That's different from Perplex. Like, what are you going to provide here?
He's just gonna sacrifice himself. There's no reason.
Just because you're goalie?
Just because I'm goalie. Because
Okay.
he's the captain and he feels like he needs to sacrifice that for the bettership of the group.
Do you know what the horrible thing is here? That he's brought Hitch and Mike along to actually record the fact.
It's just gonna have so many bloopers, like of him just miscommunicating. Like,
Yeah.
welcome. Oh crap. Okay.
Awkward if
As
there's
zombies are coming at him, it's like, hold on.
Awkward if like they are the last 4 people. Like, who are they gonna show the content to? They're gonna be like looking at their views, like, why is no one watching my content?
So goalie's going for publication. He wants to document absolutely everything.
Hey, come on, man. We got to make money out of it somehow, right?
I think goalie's is a little bit better than Tommy's. No offense, Tommy.
Why,
but
why does he want to know why he hasn't been picked yet? I feel kind of bad.
I mean, We could. We'll see if Neil has
Wanna
Bryce or not.
If you want to put him in your list.
No,
Good.
I mean, you guys know I've chosen my three. The first one is Mr. Curtis STiKS, otherwise known as APOC, the man that knows everything about everything. So he will literally know how to get out of every situation.
Smart. I like it.
The second one was Hex. The pure choice on that is nothing to do with anything other than the fact that he's a keen fisherman. Therefore, he will provide food. Simple. It's a need. And the last one is Killer, because the man will know how to, as you guys said, have strategies for everything, but it will go straight up psycho on all the zombies. So that's, what more do you want from the threesome? That doesn't sound right. Sorry.
I like that team. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know we were talking about this before. Killa, if he has any opportunity to get smoke grenades, you guys are good. Like, you'll be 3 miles away by the time the zombies realize what a smoke actually is. So, plus food, you'll be good to go. I don't know if my list is as good as that, but I think my list provides a lot of things that people will kind of overlook. So first of all, I also chose Hex, much like Mr. Neil. I thought he's very smart. I've also seen him mention like he has like a bunch of knives. He can fish. Very good outdoorsman. Gonna be very key when it comes to trying to survive a zombie apocalypse. Next person. This is very key. This is gonna be Drifter. Drifter's the smartest person, much like Neil. I'm trying to find a smart person here because he's gonna know like the trajectory. He's gonna know like the guns that we possibly could find, zombies, where to shoot at them in. Like, he's just like the golden guy. I don't know how else you don't go with Drifter. Last person I'm going to go with, which could be very questionable, T. Martin. Much like Goalie, he's going to be uploading everything. No, we're going to be going over strategies, the way that we got through zombies.
Who's going to watch
Jumps
it?
and spots.
Well, we're going to upload it. Yeah, the jumps and spots on like wherever we are, because I don't know where this is taking place at. But we're going to have literally the YouTube content
What's
flowing.
going on, guys? It's T. Martin.
And we're currently running away from zombie apocalypse. Like, it'd just be perfect. And then while Drifter is shouting out things and Hex is fishing, I'm just going to be sitting there enjoying life because I'm going to be, famous if we do survive, which is possibly unlikely. So let us know in the chat your guys' top 3 people that you think would make it. As much as I would love to have Brycey here, but
FPS Russia, I think.
Good.
Much.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not really related too much to the community, but
if we get to his house,
yeah,
like
You're set.
That's it.
You're
they're
safe.
done.
You're set.
Job
you're
done.
safe.
We can kill the entire population off. Not that that would be a good thing to do, but not that I'm preparing for that either. I think we should move on. So
please.
let us know in the chat along with your top 3 people that you would have in the zombie apocalypse, and also who do you think's list was better? Whether you're in the chat right now or on YouTube, let us know who you guys thought had the better list. You can even put them in order if you want to. So out of that question of the week, which I always find entertaining, we're gonna head to a very interesting topic that's currently going on. With basically, it kind of was already known, but it now recently surfaced due to a recent Deserto article, which kind of has brought it back to light, which is kind of discussing 18 plus. Now, what this basically means and what the article is basically talking about is that recently, Australia has recently signed a deal with ESL, meaning that a lot of their events are going to be hosted by ESL, and they recently received information talking, and they've been discussing about their leagues are going to be 18 plus, and also every event hosted by ESL will also be 18 plus as well. The problem is, if ESL, when that happens, if they do host Call of Duty events for the US, will we be having those same stipulations? Will we be having 18 plus events, 18 plus leagues, and everything? Now, I believe there is something to do with the EU. I think that, I don't know if Tommy or Neil can kind of bring this up. Is there already a rule in place that has to do with being a certain age in the EU for Call of Duty? Because I heard someone mention that.
I zoned out. Say that again, sorry.
Is there already like a certain age limit for
so
EU COD?
basically, Gfinity brought in just before the start of their kind of spell of tournaments this year, and at the Gfinity Arena, they brought in the age rating of 18 plus for their events. From speaking to Martin Wyatt and various other people, it's not them personally that are saying you're under 18, we can't allow you to come to our event. It's more them trying to abide by the PEGI rating and what Activision wants. So they got a lot of hate and stick about it, but it's more them kind of try and stay on the good side of the developers and the people that actually create the game in the first place. What's understandable. And then also another event that's going on this weekend other than Season 3 playoffs in America. There's actually a DreamHack event in London, and from my understanding, that's also 18 plus as well. So it is kind of slowly coming to force with different events. But then again, Am2 Pro wasn't, I-55 wasn't, so it's a bit half and half. East WC wasn't. So yeah, it's a bit half and half at the moment.
Right. So, and by the way, just to clear the air, everyone's been saying, "Oh my gosh, this isn't actually happening." People are just causing rumors. This is not 100% confirmed, laid in stone. This is going to happen. This is just what is most likely that could happen due to certain things.
No current North American tournament organizer has made a comment on what's been going on in the community today.
Exactly. But based on what, like we said, with other organizations, people in different countries have kind of experienced, that's kind of how we're relating this to. So this kind of also relates, and I also saw, Neil, you posted something cool on what Kingdom, not cool, but kind of interesting as well. This also is going to affect people like spectators as well, casters, etc. So if you're trying to be a caster and you're under the age of 18, good luck. Much like players, it's going to be very difficult. And the most important thing is spectators. If you go to an event and you watch, like I've gone to DC and Dallas before, seeing how many, not kids, but younger people under the age of 18 that are there, that's a good 70% of the people who are actually attending it, plus their parents, everyone that they've brought with them. That's going to be a massive decline, and I don't know how that would work. Do you guys think there's any reason, as far as spectator-wise, is there any way to get around that type of situation? Like, for instance, if they do bring a parent, if they bring another guardian, is that a possible way to kind of combat that, do you guys think?
From my point of view, this is something that, as me and Tommy have had a discussion about before when the Gfinity thing happened. The spectating thing is a real disappointment for me, not only from a personal point of view, but from a community point of view. That we had events, and obviously from my personal, I've only attended events in the UK, but I've attended the smaller events like EGL, where there was no age restriction, and then my big event was G3 that I went to. Now G3 was terrific, over thousands of people watching. But like you've just said, I would say maybe at least 60% of that crowd was under 18. And my big disappointment was that as a community, we'll never see an event of that nature again because of this age limitation. You'll have smaller, more enclosed events where, yes, you can all see it on stream, but as a hype, as an event, as a live spectacle, you just will not get that anymore. As with regards how you can get around that, my understanding is, as Tommy's spoken to people like Martin White at Gfinity, I don't think, unless the developer either restricts the age restriction or gives some other way around it, there is no other way for the event organisers in particular to get around that. If they want, if they want the developer support, let's add that in. If they want the developer support at a high level, then they need to have that restriction.
And that's just up to us having a conversation with the uppers, with the developers, with Activision. Then at that point, to allow even spectators with a consent form to view an event.
Like I said, I was going to ask you guys. I know we kind of spoke on spectators, but as far as other events go, let's just say ESL doesn't host necessarily this event. Let's say the UMGs, for instance, the UMGs who aren't necessarily affiliated with ESL, but they do have the same game. Will they also be affected by this? Do you guys think that they'll also have to enforce the 18 plus, or are they allowed to do, whatever they want to? I was actually kind of curious about that, because I know in the past, for instance, COD Champs, that's an 18 plus. Some Gfinity events are 18 plus. But as far as other events go that aren't hosted by ESL, will those also be affected? I'm curious if you guys think that it will be. I know Goalie was saying that you think it will because it's the title, it's how they're ruling with it. You think that if they're a big organization using their game, they'd also have to abide by the rules.
They may get kind of forced into a situation if event holders don't want to abide by this 18 plus rule. Activision are more than capable, as the creators of Call of Duty, to turn around and say, well, we're not going to license an event to your franchise company, event organization, whatever, and therefore they cannot run an event. So whether events like it or not, they're going to have to tailor themselves towards Activision and Treyarch, because ultimately it's their game.
Right. I can understand you guys. It's just gonna be it's gonna be a lot different. I mean, it's gonna be, if this does come into effect, the amount of players that are going to be affected by this is absolutely insane. We're actually going to get into the amount of players who will be affected in just a minute. But talking a little bit about other games as well. You know, Halo actually recently came out and said we're going to have 16 plus, which means obviously anyone under the age of 16 is not to play, but it's still 2 more years that a lot of the Call of Duty players will be affected by. So 2 major years. Along with that, they're going to have a $1 million tournament, also going to be crowdfunded. It's like a $1.5 million tournament is guaranteed for them. And I was asking you guys, if you think, for instance, these Call of Duty players who are younger, they're not going to have an opportunity to grow in Call of Duty. Is the switch to Halo that much easier, or are they going to look at different avenues? Will they stay with COD, or do you see a lot of younger players switching over to a different esport, much like Halo? Because I know me and Goalie, me and you were talking about it, kind of saying, like, how easy would it be to switch over to Halo, and the fact that it's basically the sister to how Call of Duty works, similar style. MLG also signed a deal with them as well. Is that going to be that much easier? Will we see a lot of younger players switch over?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily easier, but well, it's easier compared to going to a game or like switching to a MOBA or switching to a PC shooter like Counter-Strike. The one thing that Halo has going for them right now is that they have this huge, and if this 18 plus rule was to affect people in North America and the rest of the scene, is that the entire COD community bought Xbox Ones to play competitive or to play competitive esports on the Xbox One. Now we're making the switch over to PlayStation 4, and if we add this 18 plus rule, they already have all those players that switched over. They could decide whether to leave Call of Duty right now and just switch to Halo or switch to a different platform, or they could completely switch to or they could go and buy they could buy all new equipment all over again. I have no clue what I just said.
I know what you meant.
But yeah, easier, like, it's definitely going to be easier to switch over. It depends on what you want to play at the end of the day. If these players, or if these amateur players actually want to make, or want to be professional esports players, whatever that is determined by, why would you stick with, and you're underage, why would you stick with Call of Duty?
Right. I just think
you've got. Sorry,
yeah,
I think the other thing you've got to consider as well is other events.
Mm-hmm.
You know, during this period of over 18 that Gfinity have introduced, as Tommy said, there have been other events.
Yeah.
For example, EGL coming up soon will be under 18 with consent. There was AM2 Pro, there was iSeries. If those events, and like you said, if other event organisers in the US are able to do events, possibly without the support of the developers, but still do them successfully, then there is a platform for those players to still play, albeit not at the very highest level.
Yeah.
If they don't really want to have to switch, and they can cope with that for a couple of years, then that may be giving them the platform to at least have some development within the game. But it's completely dependent on whether those event organisers will have the scope to continue to do those events.
It's like so when MLG got the Call of Duty license, especially for Ghost, one of the reasons that UMG was kind of forced to partner with MLG was because they wouldn't be allowed to stream their events on Twitch, if I'm correct, right? So they were kind of forced to partner with MLG. I see it being the same way with this 18 plus rule. Is that, so let's say UMG wants to be 18 under and allow anyone, any age, to compete, then they have to completely throw away developer support. They have to throw away DLC
and I don't
maps,
think they'd be able to do that. You know what I mean?
They'd have to throw away a lot of, and cut a lot of ties that they could possibly have with developers. And you could even, like, $1 million tournament. Even a company, I know AMDA Pro is coming into the North American scene. If they don't have developer support, their first event in Niagara might have some issues.
Yeah.
So
I like what you said. Like, they will have to sacrifice.
It's like
to have these younger players. Yeah.
As an event organizer, you don't want to cut ties with the company that you're working with, the company for a game, or that you're making a game for.
Don't bite the hand that feeds you, like you say.
Exactly. But I don't know. It's a tough thing. It's a tough decision.
It'll be interesting. If it does, like we said, it's not necessarily guaranteed 100%. We'll wait to see what happens. But going back a little bit to Halo, yeah, I was going to ask, well, actually not in Halo, but kind of like moving past Halo a little bit. Are there any solutions to the problem? Like if we do have players switch over, is there any solution? I know people have brought up waivers. If you have your parents sign off on it that you can play, has that been implemented? Do you guys see any ways to get past this? If, for instance, they say, yes, it's 18 plus, but we will allow certain things. What things do you think they would allow if it were able to be implemented? Like what avenues would you kind of explore to say, hey, like let's just say you talked with the developers and said, you know what, we have this, if we have people sign off on it, is there any like other avenues you guys could see that would allow players to play who are underage, if that makes sense? I know that was kind of a longer question, but I don't know if you guys like have any ideas. Like, is there any?
The parental consent one is the easy one. I mean, that is the easiest way around it. The other one that I know was discussed within the community was to have the multiplayer aspect of the game different to the single player aspect of the game, which clearly isn't going to happen now because it's too far down the development line. But much like in Advanced Warfare, where you had the paintball dynamic to try and take away some of the, let's say, more age restrictive content for the multiplayer. But again, that's too far down the line now. I would have hoped that might have been taken into consideration for this game, but clearly that wasn't thought of.
Yeah, and go ahead, Dummy.
I think from my understanding, like the actual multiplayer section of the game isn't 18 plus. I may not be right in saying this. I think it's the actual campaign section that makes it 18 plus. But obviously that it transitions across the whole game because it's the PEGI rating.
That's what it was in the past, but like now in Black Ops 3, as we've all kind of seen the beta, you can shoot someone's body and they will completely explode. Like it's like even multiplayer now, it's an 18 plus game now.
It's like World at War gore type. Like shoot someone's leg, their leg goes over there. Like yeah, which I like personally.
Like with the paintball mode, it definitely wasn't 18 plus this last year. But I was kind of talking about this with Landon before. The only way that we could separate that rating is if we sold multiplayer and single player separately. But Activision, there's no way in heck Activision's going to do that. Yeah. Like you can't go to Best Buy and buy only the multiplayer disc for Call of Duty. Like,
it'd make no sense. But
they would definitely get a lot of different sales, I guess you could say. Like they would like cut their market in half.
They could technically probably make more money by doing it, but it's just so much more logistics and like buying two separate things for basically one game. It's like we're gonna give you a game, but you've got to go on a treasure hunt just to get it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I actually have a list here that I actually made talking about the players who are actually going to be affected if this did come into effect for Advanced Warfare, and also in the future. So you might hear some players like Hook and Temp, but there are also a couple players who actually are over the age. But if it were affected into Advanced Warfare moving on, these would be the amount of players who would be affected. So just this list doesn't cover everyone. Just thought off the top of my head.
Do you mean that they would have been affected in the lifespan of Advanced Warfare, or that they are being affected, or they would be affected right now?
As far as Black Ops 3, I'll make a list. I have players who barely made it through for Advanced Warfare. Okay. All these players that I'll be listing right now were affected in Advanced Warfare and also would be affected in Black Ops 3. Okay. So it's like this is the continuing on list. So the players affected would be General, Hook, Temp, TJ Halley, TCM, Lacefield, GodRX, Envoy, Kenny, Methods, and players who would barely make it would be Spacely, Slack, Chino, and Attached. So those are just a couple players. Those are all NA players. Keep that in mind. So there definitely are a lot of EU players who could be affected as well. But just that amount is astounding to me because those are some of the key players on some of the top teams we have in the game right now. Like you look at the league, I believe 4 or 5 teams in the league right now wouldn't have an actual guaranteed team because some of their players are underage. Speaking on Denial, Hook and Temp, both under the age, half of Denial's team is gone. Like they just have slash and replays moving forward. And that's something also that I want to bring up as well because of how many good young players we have in this game, especially the amount of players who have been brought up through this game. For instance, 4 of them, TR, weren't even known hardly before Advanced Warfare started, and they ended up finishing second at Champs. So the amount of like young players that we have coming out of these titles is absolutely astounding. And I wish that there would be some person who would kind of like bring up to them and talk to them and say, hey, we have a lot of really good talent coming as like a younger group. could we, in some way kind of affect that? So there's going to be a lot of players affected. I wish that they would kind of take this into consideration, the amount of young, talented players that we have. But as far as it goes, like this could, I hate to say it, but this could definitely ruin our young audience because, and I know Kingdom actually made a really good point on Twitter. He was like, everyone started off young. Like everyone started off being this age and playing and moving forward, whether it's Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 2, whatever it was. We're kind of eliminating, in a sense, our younger audience. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
Like players didn't start off this good. Everyone starts off at one level and then they progress. No one starts off at the top and just, stagnates. It's not the case. And like what Kingdom says and what you replicated just then, it's a case of these players have been grinding since their early teens. And yes, they probably shouldn't have been because technically the age rating doesn't allow for that. But because there's means like Amazon and stuff where it's easy to get the game underage, they've been grinding the game. And that's why they're at a point where they are. If you take that away from them and the competitive aspect and say they're not allowed to do GBs, UMGs, Gfinities because of the age restrictions as well, then it's very difficult because you're really kind of narrowing down the opportunities. And the main point I make as well is if you make it 18 plus, 18 for me is such a difficult year because it's a year when you have so many life choices to make in terms of your personal life. And if you haven't already started to make that journey to maybe potentially making Call of Duty esports a career or something like that, and we already know that only a few actually do it, then it's like you're going to much rather go down a different avenue or a different esport because it's probably more worth your time.
I think something that Tommy touched on there is quite important. It could really be another major aspect to how this will progress, is that if the developers aren't allowing the event organizer to do live LAN events as under 18, in theory, why should they be allowing them to run leagues as under 18? Now, I know that's harder for the event organisers to manage and to control, but what a lot of people are doing, a lot of event organisers are doing, are running online leagues where in reality anybody can play. But then when it comes to a live event, you say, well, hang on, you can't play. So I know there will be an explanation for that, but I just seem to think that there's a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of hypocrisy there from the developers, that whilst they don't want it to be seen to have under 18s live, they're perfectly happy for
a league, right?
It to be slightly less controlled on an online environment. And is it further down the line? I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but further down the line, are they going to say that online leagues, if they can't be controlled in any way, shape or form, can't happen because you can't control the age of the people playing?
That's a good point.
As well with online, there's no knowing what the age is of the person playing. It's like back in the Pro League season 1 or 2 or something when someone account recovered. It's so hard even to know that. It's so hard to know even like someone's playing on someone else's account. You could easily have someone sign up who's 18 and then have their little brother play on their account. It's so hard and complex in knowing how they can actually find it.
If I was a team and if Hook was down, he could play for me every night. I never mind. I mean, like, he's an absolute don. I would let Hook play for me every time. Not that that's right, so don't take that into consideration. And Hook wouldn't do that, but just pointing that out. And I also kind of going back to League as well. Something very important, like you mentioned, is that we have, like, if they get involved, if they have their league system be similar to ours, will it be like it's gonna have to be an 18+ league? If that does come into effect, because once LAN happens, if they have playoffs and if they go to LAN for playoffs, what, are you gonna have your subs play like that? It'll be a completely different type of system. And I saw someone else, I've seen a lot of people mention this on Twitter. Would there be, and would you guys find this to be acceptable, a separate league for under 18 players? Do you think that would be a valid option if this does come into effect? Like, for instance, the Hooks, the Temps, the TJs who aren't old enough. Do you think an under 18 league, are there enough players who you could see kind of forming teams and whatnot? Because I feel like, honestly, like, there obviously are more bigger known players like the JCaps, the Scumps and whatnot who play on the top teams. Are there enough young, talented players who wouldn't just be considered an AM league, that it would actually be considered, a young, talented, I guess you could say, league at all? Do you guys think that would be a good option, under 18 league at all?
It would have to be run by an event company that doesn't want the developer sport, though. It comes back to the same question. If they don't want the developers support and think they can get by without it, even for a live event or for an online league, then they're quite welcome to do whatever they want, unless there's something greater that's going to be brought in terms of actual legalities. But that's what it's going to come down to. But, you know, even if that happens, like you say, it's predominantly then going to be an AM league online event, really.
Seems like every time we're like, oh, we could do this, it's like, well, this like steps in your way. I feel like there's been so many like problems with COD, and the fact that's like, oh, we have an 18+ COD champs. Well, now we're gonna have 18+ overall. Like, there's so many barriers holding COD back based on other esports. This is just another thing, that's kind of been thrown at it. And one of the things that I also talked about, kind of like the COD history in a way. If you look back at like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, I want to say like 70% of the players who are on teams now, for instance, like Scump, I'm just gonna use Scump as an example. He wouldn't be playing if it was 18+ back in MW2, back in Black Ops 1. He wouldn't be old enough. So just imagine the amount of talent that we could have, like the next generation, I guess you could say. I know it's not generational, but the amount of young, talented players that we could see moving forward once, players, once they retire. Because I know we had Merc on the show, and he's like, you know what, I might have 1 or 2 titles left in me, but I have a life to get back to. Like, I have a family. These players are getting wives. Like, they're actually moving on with their lives. Whenever we have this next group of young players to come up, having 18+, it wouldn't surprise me if that's completely like diminished at all. Will Call of Duty advance past a certain age, I think is definitely something to kind of bring up. But I think that's going to kind of do it for this topic. I'm going to ask you guys, do you guys have any final topics? If you could kind of talk to, let's say a developer watches this, what would you say to them in like a shorter sentence? What would you say kind of to them directly? And I know it's kind of hard to direct.
Well, I got one example and one question from the chat. My example is ESWC 2015. If it was the rule of no under 18 age players, we would not have seen Barrage beat Optic in pool play. Simple as that. Like, simple as that. You would not see stuff like that happen because there would be no underage talent. And then question from the chat, if I can just find it. Where'd it go? Oh boy, I can't even find it now. No, I've lost it. I'm sorry. I done goofed. I'm sorry, chat. I posted to say I'd put some questions and I completely forgot the question, but I'm staying.
You're good. I was just gonna ask. I was gonna say, if you could say one final thing, like as a final thought to a Call of Duty developer, what would it be? Whether it's, here's the solution, this is what you do. I'm just curious, if you guys could talk to a COD developer, 1 or 2 sentences, what would you say? Actually, does anyone want to start this off? Just like really quickly as we kind of end out the topic in a way.
I'll do it because I sort of mentioned it earlier. G3 was a spectacle. Over the last couple of months in the UK mainstream press, we've done a great job of promoting COD esports. Don't let that go to waste. We can still make a spectacle out of it. I don't know how it's resolved. That's for the developer to resolve with the event organisers. That's not for us to resolve. However, us as a community want COD esports as a spectacle. Don't lose it.
Powerful. I like that.
Simple.
Mr. Goalie, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I wish I could say something that sounded as good as Neil's. I'm just gonna say, make sure we don't lose our player base, make sure we don't lose our fans, do whatever needs to be done. I don't care if it's an 18+ rating, I don't care if it's a -10 rating. Do what needs to be done to get people watching our events. No.
Agreed.
All I'll say is it's a bit drastic, but I honestly think if you turn COD into 18+ just period, it will kill it. In the sense that, well, either way, you might not see it straight away, but come, a few years' time, if COD is still alive, say 5 years' time, if it is still here, you're going to suddenly see a gap. There's just going to be a gap in kind of the player pool because of the age rating, and it'll be because people will see Call of Duty as something that isn't accessible from a teenage year, and they'll go to a Halo or to a CSGO, or they'll play a sport instead.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Just one thing for me, and we'll kind of go to a commercial break after this really quickly. If I was to talk to them, I would say, like, don't let Call of Duty turn into what you want it to be. Just let it grow as it has been. Like we have a good system here. Like this is the reason why you're interested is from what we've previously done. Let it work, let it happen. And I feel like a lot of times with like big businesses, for instance, like they'll kind of get into it and they'll say, let's just say like a big business kind of like intercepts a smaller one. They'll make decisions based on how they've previously done things, when in reality they don't look at the smaller objects. They don't look at the smaller steps that company has made to get where they are. They look at what's previously worked for them. So I just wish they'd kind of take things into consideration. And keep in mind, guys, this is not 100% confirmed. It just is looking to be that way moving forward. So I believe we're going to head to a quick commercial break, and we will return talking about some Season 3 playoffs, as well as some questions from Twitter. So, guys, make sure to stay tuned after this quick commercial break. We're live, and we're back better than ever. Welcome back, everyone. Why do I always do that? I act like I'm starting a new episode or something. I don't know.
Well, you said welcome back this time, so it worked. Just
Did it work? Okay. I'm struggling over here, goalie. I'm struggling a lot more than last episode. That's not true. Last episode, I struggled a lot. Either way, we're back, and we're talking about some Season 3 playoffs predictions. If you guys don't know, Season 3 playoffs coming up this coming weekend. First of all, is it 175K or is it 75K? From what we've seen on Twitter, MLG has said it's a 75K event. From what it says on their website, it's 175K, which is the big deal. Like, that's $100,000.
That's a $100,000 difference, yeah.
Which one is it? Chat, does anyone know? Because I'm lost over here. I don't know what's going on. But is it goalie? Are we sure? Is it 175K?
I have no clue, man. I haven't contacted MLG yet. I'll try to contact them. So.
I mean, I would much rather prefer
it's
18. I mean, what did I just say? 18? What?
I don't know. They've been tweeting out that it's 75K event, but their site says 175K on their events page. So I have no clue. I would say that the events page is correct, but who knows? Well, the events page has been wrong in the past. I don't know.
We'll see what happens. But thank you. If the chat would like to post in the chat, if you guys know for sure, I'd really appreciate it. So, as far as Season 3 goes, this is the playoffs. Obviously, what has happened so far is that the league has actually reset. For those who do not know, due to DDoSing issues, the league has completely reset, and they've played a total of 11 games, every team playing each other once. Every team makes it to the playoffs, so no worries, your top 8 still going to be there, as well as your other bottom teams are also going to attend. So everyone is going. I'm going to go over the Season 3 placings, which most of you probably don't know because half of the time it wasn't on MLG. At the time, no one was streaming due to the fact that they wanted to kind of combat the issues. So coming in 12th, up to 1, 12th. Starting off as Orbit, who finished 1-10. Not the best, I guess you could say. Moving into 11th, we had TCM 3-8. Up to now, who finished in 10th with 4-7. And 9th, it was TK with 4-7 as well. 8th was Rise Nation with 4-7. And 7th, it was Epsilon with 5-6. Coming in 6th, it was Team Envy with 6-5. And 5th, it was ISO with 6-5. And 4th, it was Optic Nation with 6-5. And 3rd, it was FaZe with 7-4. And in 2nd, it was Elevate with 9-2. And finally, it was Optic Gaming with 11-0, not dropping to one team and only dropping 6 overall maps as a whole. So I'm going to ask you guys, as far as league surprises, and I know you don't kind of, as far as other leagues go, you didn't really look at it and kind of compare certain things because it's online. And for this, people didn't take it as seriously, I think you could honestly say, because everyone's making it. While seeding does involve a major portion of it, league surprises. Did you guys see anything good or bad that you noticed in the league? Any things that you were like, oh my gosh, that team should have done better, that team should have done worse? Any surprises to you guys, good or bad? Tommy, did you notice anything for the Season 3 restart that you noted as a surprise?
Well, Orbit had a bit of a rough road.
Yeah.
Orbit had a very rough road after the reset.
Yeah, Orbit didn't do too well. What was it, 1-10 overall?
Yes.
There weren't too many upsets. I mean, it's really hard because obviously, as you talked about, we had no real clue who was playing when, what was going on. We didn't get to see any of the matches. We don't know how many 3-2s there were, 3-0s, and all sorts. It's really hard to kind of put it in perspective of what it actually means in the long run of things. So I wouldn't say it's too out of the ordinary. It's not like Optic Gaming finished last. So that for me would be the only real upset, if I'm honest. Anything else I could kind of see maybe if there was players getting substituted or whatnot.
All right. I got you. Goalie, did you see any surprises? And I know, like we mentioned before, it's the online league. People didn't take it as seriously.
It was the online league, and over 60% of the matches weren't streamed. Over that, 80%
True.
probably. Denial at 4 and 7. That's the only thing I could say. But the thing is, like, we don't know how these matches are going online, so I really don't have an opinion when it comes to the online league.
no
The thing
idea.
is that whenever you talk about the league, you have to like ask questions about it. You know, it's like, here's the league, boom, we're done. Like, we have to mention it somehow. So I'm sorry, chat. Either way, as far as my surprises go, I had a couple of them. Ones that you guys have already mentioned. As far as bad surprises go, Denial 4 and 7, not at all how I predicted. 10th. Whenever they finish second at DC, it's like, I don't really know. Either way, and also Orbit finishing 1 and 10. I would have at least figured them to win a couple more maps than that. That was kind of a surprise. As far as good goes, I would say ON. You know, based on previous placings from ON, how they've been doing recently, them finishing in 4th, not too bad. I mean, that's going to be definitely what they need. Like, let's just say, you know, a seeding does come into play. ON's going to have a good seed if they expect to make it far in Season 3 playoffs. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, it is a 12-team tournament. The major problem with the 12-team tournament is that it's not an easy bracket to make. It's not an easy, like, 14 teams. You just divide it down. There's a loser's bracket. It's not that exact same. So I'm going to kind of ask Goalie about this because we were kind of questioning this before. Is the bracket format, is it the way they set it up, is it actually a good option, or could they have done something better?
There's no other way to do a 12-team bracket.
There you go. Simple
There
as
we
that.
go.
If you
Easy.
think the bracket's done weird, it's like we should
How would you do it?
How would you do it? Exactly. That's the best way. That's the best way.
I would do a round robin. Everyone plays everyone 11 times.
We just did that. It was called the
well,
Season 3
That's true.
Pro
Let's
League.
say 11 times.
So how is the league exactly set up? I know it's like, as far as certain teams go, like Optic has a bye basically first game in a
Top
sense,
4
like they don't
have
play.
a bye.
Top 4 have a
then
bye
Bottom 8 have a first round matchup.
for sure.
But
Matchup.
funnily enough, if you lose in the first round or the second round, you still end up in the losers bracket round 1. So technically,
Boom.
for the bottom 8 teams, you have to get to the second round just
Well,
to
technically, you get dropped down to losers round 2. You just get a first round bye in losers round 1.
Yeah.
So
you skip
A lot of
that first
numbers,
round.
a lot of losers, a lot of numbers as well. But you know, it's whatever. But still, like we just kind of talked about the bracket formation. We're to give our top 4, as well as our bottom 4. Now I highly doubt that you have any graphics. Do you have any graphics? For this?
you didn't give me enough time. So
That's fine. I understand. So we're to go over our top. Actually, let's just do our bottom 4 first, because that's kind of like the way you should do it. You know, kind of leading up to the top. So as far as our bottom 4 goes, would anyone like to start off? Because I will, if not. Bottom 4 teams.
go ahead, Mr. Landon.
All right, Mr. Landon, I'm going to go bottom 4 for Season 3 playoffs. The teams I think will do well, but not do well enough. I'm going to have Isolation Empire, Team Caliber, Elevate, and Optic Nation. You might be wondering why, Landon. Well, all good teams. ISO, kind of streaky at times. I would like to consider ISO my wild card. They can do well at times. They can also do bad at times. I was actually on the bracket prediction show yesterday with MLG and stuff. I kind of went more in depth with that, but either way, ISO a very good team, but has a definite capability to lose to the top teams who I have in my top 4. As far as TK goes, a very stressful team. They could either finish 12th or they could finish 4th. I don't know where TK is going to be at. Every event, they're like, oh, we're going to hardpoint this tournament. Oh, we're going to search and destroy this tournament, which I don't think is good. Like, I want to have a team who's actually good at a game type for the entire game. Like, I want them to be a solid team at this, not, oh, we were good for this event at this one game type. Oh, we were good at this event for this certain game type. So that's when I have why I have TK here. As far as Elevate goes, I feel like Denial, Envy, Elevate are all kind of in that position. It's like one person's going to kind of get screwed out of the top 4. Elevate just happened to be that team for me. I think Elevate's a great team. They can easily take down 2 of my top 4, but I don't think they're going to make it just far enough. I'm going to have Optic Nation. I could say teams like Epsilon, Orbit, TCM, and whatnot. I think that ON could possibly make it. I mean, it's just up in the air. Like your bottom 4, they win one game against someone else, they're automatically considered a little bit better. So that is my top 4. I'm going to have ISO, TK, Elevate, and ON. Tommy, who do you have along with me?
Am I doing bottom 4 first?
Yes.
Okay, so
Hold on really quickly. Chat, put your bottom 4 in the chat as well.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, I had Rise, Epsilon, TCM, and Orbit. Let me find my bracket. I think that's my bottom 4. And the way I came to the conclusion of that is, I think Epsilon and TCM have Denial and Envy first round. I would honestly expect them to lose their matchups. And then I think one of them played TK according to the way I did my bracket. And I can't remember who. I think the other one played Optic Nation, who, although I sometimes don't favor, I would probably favor them over, I think it was like TCM or something. So that's kind of how I came to the conclusion of them two. Then Rise ended up versing FaZe because I had Envy beating FaZe, what I know everyone's going to like slate me for. And then Orbit faced ISO. In my opinion, ISO will prevail. And that's how I got my bottom 4. And then do you want me to do my top 4?
No, we're not doing top 4 yet. We're like Goalie get his bottom 4.
I'm going too far.
And then do our all top 4.
Okay.
Goalie's looking pretty stressful here.
Yeah, I was doing something. I was handling something else. So I didn't hear what you guys said for your bottom 4. But for my bottom, I have like bottom 3, and then I'm really conflicted on TK and Rise. I don't know how you guys have that matchup going. But I definitely have Orbit, TCM, and Epsilon getting bottom 4 or bottom 3. 3 out of the bottom 4, yeah. And I'm conflicted between TK and Rise. Landon's like penciled in Rise for me because I couldn't make a decision earlier.
I didn't like pencil in. You just said Rise. Okay, I wrote it down. So
I said.
But that's gonna be a big matchup,
I said Rise first, and then I was like Rise or TK, and then you say okay Rise. So you penciled it in for me.
I'm sorry. Well, how did that happen? I said TK for mine, and I don't have Rise. So why would I have penciled in for you?
Because
Question to ask yourself. I'm sorry, I'm messing with Goalie. But I think if it does come down to Rise versus TK, obviously these are our predictions. So people can say, well, why don't you have Rise and TK both? Well, that's how the bracket works. If they both lose at the position that we think they will be. So as far as Rise and TK goes, you could honestly say either one. The only reason I'm personally saying TK, they've been in Game 5s before. Rise is a good squad. I like Burns a lot. Talked to the guy at DC on the analysis desk. Very knowledgeable at that. But I think that TK might be able to close it out. We'll see what happens. But as far as our top 4 predicciones, I'm going to start off with mine. Okay, so keep this in mind. I'm going to go from 4th to 1st in order of my top 4. So I already gave my bottom 4. I said ISO, TK, Elevate, and ON. My top 4, who I think will be moving on, probably not much of a surprise, will be in 4th. I'm going to have Team Envious, the boys in blue. Coming in 3rd, I'm going to have Denial. In 2nd, I'm going to have FaZe. And in 1st, I'm going to have Optic Gaming. Now, all of us have a pretty similar bracket style. I think only one person has one team that none of us chose, which is actually Goalie, which we'll get into his in just a second. But the reason why I have these teams, I think Envy's a good squad. As far as coming up against Denial, I'm not sure how they're going to fare off. I think Octane's a phenomenal player. I think Aqua is as well. I just think Denial is just too strong. I think when you look at Hook, Temp, you look at those dominant guys who are under 18, might I add, are very important. I think they're going to be a very key point to them. The only game type that I see Envy having a pretty easy way in would probably be either the Search or the Hardpoint, but I think Denial's going to be too strong either way. Moving on versus FaZe and OG, anyone could say any team. I think that FaZe is going to be pretty good, but since they're coming from the losers bracket, they're not good previous with losers brackets, so I'm going to say the OG kind of puts the hurt on them. And the bracket show, I believe I said 3-1 first series, so I'm going to stick with it. 3-1 OG. So as far as my predictions go, I have ISO, TK, Elevate, and ON as my bottom 4. As my top 4, I have OG, FaZe, Denial, and Envy. But we're going to move on to Tommy, his predictions for his top 4. And if you'd like to reiterate your bottom 4 as well, Mr. Thomas.
So bottom 4 was Rise, TCM, Epsilon, and Orbit. As I said, I think I don't want to see TCM and Epsilon be relegated. I really don't, because I love to see what they've done this year in terms of the EU side, even though the majority of the roster now isn't even European. And then Rise is a bit, I don't know. But the way I've done my bracket, I linked it in the chat if you want to go check it out. Or I should say like that way or that way. I don't even know.
It's on your left. It's on your left, Tommy.
Okay, I don't know what that is because me looking into the camera.
From your perspective, it's on your left. So no, what's your left? That's your right. There you go.
See, I'm looking at you and thinking, oh, I don't know. Anywho,
directions, they're great. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. I obviously don't know my left from my right, apparently. But anywho, my top 4 was a bit all over the place. I went with Optic first. I'm convinced they're going to win this event. Envy second, then FaZe, then Denial.
I'm just kidding. Tell me. Now, I see some people put into the chat, even Lemon Kiwi. FaZe and Envy. Why would you say Envy over FaZe?
Envy beats me. Bro, I don't know. I want to...
Don't know?
I'm tired of, like, being that person that just, like... They've been doing well. Let's just stick them there. I know FaZe are the team to go for. My prediction is, I don't think FaZe will do well this event. I think FaZe will make a roster change before Worlds.
Whoa. We're going to
That will spark...
Worlds.
After Season 3, you can guarantee
After
there's roster changes.
So before Worlds. So before Worlds are making
When
roster.
FaZe realize there's opportunity to make a roster change because they don't win the event or don't place top 2, what potentially could happen, I don't think it's out of their jurisdiction, especially after the last event, although, who knows. I think they'll potentially make a roster change. I know it's really bold, you know, but every time we predict the norm, like UMG Dallas, for God's sake, we predicted Optic Gaming, FaZe, Elevate, and Denial to be the first team out of every pool. FaZe finished like 3rd. Optic and Elevate were the only teams to finish 1st. Every time we predict kind of the dead certs, it never happens, or at least in the recent past. So that's why I've gone a little bit kind of optimistic with Envy. I know I probably maybe should have gone with Denial over Envy, but I have faith in the boys in blue. So let's see what happens. Let's spice up a little bit.
Now, we've had Tasman on the show. Maybe we have a little bit of correlation to Tasman. I don't know. Either way, we're going to go into some of Goalie's predictions, Goalie's top 4. And before you give your top 4, if you would reiterate your bottom 4 as well.
Well, first, I'm just gonna say we just had Neil on the show, and I have his team getting relegated. So.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. But what if?
I'm the same. I'll put my hands up. I'm the same.
It doesn't matter. We're just assuming that there's another season of the MLG League at this point, of course. But yeah, my bottom 4. Crap, I'm looking at Tommy's bracket. That's gonna screw me up. I had TCM, Epsilon, ISO. I don't want to say Rise will get relegated because I really like Rise's roster, but I'll say Rise, I guess.
Say Rise. Okay.
I still I feel like it's gonna be TK, but after how TK played at UMG, I don't know, man. They did go to like 50 game 5s. So.
Oh, I know. Yes.
They didn't go to like 50 game 5s.
I know.
So
yes.
you know, Landon, you know.
I know every single one of their strats in Search, for the record. If anyone wants to know, if any teams, I know what happens. I know Theory watches the cross in school.
No, you're not giving away
Destroyed.
TK strats on
Biolab,
stream.
they go middle.
No,
Occasionally they go inside purple.
you're not
if
giving
Nestle watches the
away
cross. Anything.
No.
Go ahead. So your top 4.
No.
Let's move on. Your
top four. My top 4 is pretty generic, honestly.
Much
But
like ours.
Boring.
It's pretty boring. So I have, as I said, or I mean, as Tommy said earlier, Optic's gonna win the event at this rate.
Wow.
What a
shot in the
surprise.
dark, right?
We didn't say that either.
So Optic's gonna win. I see FaZe taking 2nd. I don't know why the heck Tommy has Envy in 2nd after, but I support the boys over at Envy and Tasmo. Tasmo's a cool guy.
Yes.
But FaZe, like you can't count FaZe out after one bad event. Like if they have 2 bad events, I can see them placing out of the top 2, top 3.
That's what
but
they're
not
gonna
after.
do. Then they're gonna make a roster change. You're not listening, Goalie. I already know.
Okay.
I spoke to Mystic Meg.
Okay, and then I don't know how this is gonna work, but Denial and Elevate will tie for 3rd and 4th. They just won't play that match out. They're just gonna tie for 3rd and 4th.
So they'll just split the prize pool evenly.
It's gonna come to
Like,
it's gonna come down
it's
to a
fine.
game 5 between Elevate and
What players?
Denial.
Round 11, 1v1.
I have no
What
clue,
players?
They
dude.
died at the exact same time due to
They died.
Okay, so they're right next to each other. Their Simtex is stick, and they die upon impact at the exact same time.
They both throw a stun at each other at the same time.
What would
in
happen
1v1.
if literally 2 people died at the exact same second? Like I
It would
know you
come
have to
down to
take milliseconds
milliseconds.
into consideration, but
Well,
what
see, I
would
feel like the game
would give it to
just
the
felt
defenders,
randomized.
right? The game would give it to the defenders in that situation.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. It's
Whoa.
like if someone dies, they'll probably just go in order. I would say the kill feed, which I think would be randomized.
Yeah.
Anything could happen.
I don't know.
But what if?
I'm
What if
gonna
there was a secret? What if there was a secret in uplink which wouldn't really matter because it wouldn't be a tie. Either way, if it's an uplink, if someone scores at the exact same time, would it just go to another overtime?
You can't score at the exact same time because there's only one ball landing.
No. I mean, like in overtime. If there's a certain time limit,
It'll be like that game they
You
played.
can't. It's because of milliseconds. I see what you mean.
pros-
Yeah,
see,
you'd have
laugh
to
at
replay.
me.
You'd have to replay. Okay.
okay.
Um,
What if you just kept replaying over and over again? Would they
So
just
for
say,
top,
just stop?
it's gonna come down to a game 5 between Elevate and Denial. Those teams are just too closely matched, honestly. Flip a coin. I'm gonna say Denial wins, and they take 3rd, and Elevate takes 4th. So
There you go.
I don't
Predictions. All of us said OG. I'm gonna ask you guys. This is kind of directed at Tommy. Now, if FaZe, let's just say FaZe finishes second
Oh,
to Optic Gaming at DC, because I know they didn't do the best, obviously, at DC. But what if they would have finished top 2 along with Optic? Would you still have Envy beating FaZe? I'm curious. I'm just curious.
If I'm honest with you, this prediction is very bold. It's just something different.
It's
I'm
an
tired
extremely bold
There is
prediction.
nothing wrong with that. I'm just asking if FaZe would have finished top 2 at DC, would you still have predicted Envy to beat them in your
if
predictions?
FaZe finished top 2, it would change everything.
Change everything. So they would win? Or would they still be second?
It's like it's just you could easily do this by saying if like Optic lost to Denial in the finals, we'd be saying, oh, Denial will probably win this event or something, or some of us would be. Like you change one team and it changes everything, in my opinion. But realistic prediction: OG FaZe final. Tommy Mad prediction: OG Envy.
Okay. Now, I'll ask you this really quickly. Getting even more in depth with our brackets.
Even more realistic after the FaZe. OG is probably
Now,
OG Denial.
will there be a second series? Because the team coming from loser's bracket will be facing off in another game. If they do win the first one,
Give me a headache.
we all predicted OG. Will OG in any of our
OG.
brackets go to a game or a series two?
The
What
only team that potentially can is probably FaZe, in my opinion.
But you said
Because-
Envy.
Yeah.
I know, because I'm stupid. I'm contradicting everything I say.
If
No, but
Optic is
they
coming
were-
from the losers bracket, yes. Otherwise, I don't see it happening.
I meant based on our predictions.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So
I agree.
So no, I do not see it happening.
No.
No.
What's your grand final, goalie? OG and FaZe 3-2.
OG and FaZe. Now, my question is, did anyone who? So, how did you were on ESR yesterday? Blah.
I was indeed, Mr. Goalie.
I had to like change like the starting of my sentence like 5 times there. But how did you guys have the tournament going? Like, who did you guys have winning and seeing in the final yesterday?
I think Benson had FaZe winning. He had Benson beating them in winners finals. So that meant that OG was in the losers.
You mean Optic beat FaZe in winners
No, no.
finals?
No, he had FaZe beating Optic.
Oh, okay.
So that means Optic's in the losers for what, a game or something?
Yeah.
So he had FaZe, I think, winning the entire. Actually, hold on. I can look really quickly. If someone would like to implement some random time while I look.
Tommy,
Can so-
do you
can
have
someone make a
a
joke?
cup of tea that we can talk about?
I'm juggling.
A cup of tea.
It's okay.
Hey, you can use code STiKS for a brand new SCUF controller.
that is
brand
a standard
new car.
PlayStation controller, Tommy.
Shut up. Shut
Okay,
up.
so Benson.
Look how pretty this is.
Oh my. Okay, so Benson had FaZe, everyone else had Optic. So that's kind of how it went. There, that's a nice scuff you have there, as well as I have the PS4 scuff. Use code STiKS at checkout. You get.
My Xbox
Synergy.
One scuff is sitting on my bed, so
Is it?
yeah, I couldn't
You should
grab
go
it.
jump on it. Go jump on your bed and grab it.
Well, we can just knock over the blue screen and have some fun with that. So
That'd be interesting.
that'd be an interesting show. I need to have a lot more energy.
You'd have more
Oh,
energy.
Mr. X is saying in the chat that Optic's gonna win 3-1.
See, I agree with that. That's exactly what I have. See, but Benson said, but Benson said FaZe is going to win. See, that's the big thing right now. I think if FaZe would have done a lot better at DC, that people would completely have a different like thought versus OG this series.
You have to take into account that I know it's online, but in the 5K this weekend, OG made an 0-2 comeback against FaZe in the finals.
They've been scrimming a lot as well. I noticed they scrimmed a crazy amount yesterday too. So
they
they know.
Composure in the past though, like at Gfinity, they were 3-1 up and then poof. But then again, they were struggling a bit in the uplink, and S&D FaZe were just dominant.
I think it'd be interesting if, for instance, let's say that OG does win. That'll be 2 wins for FaZe in the last 4 tournaments. It'll be 2 wins for FaZe, 2 wins for OG. You settle it at the World Finals. You decide who is the best team toward the end of the game, right there. Even though most people will probably say Optic Gaming, which I would agree with. But also, something that's very important to mention as well is that if it does come down to Game 5, anything could happen. Anything at all can happen as well. I noticed Mr. X is also posting Optic wins a hardpoint, FaZe wins a search, Optic takes 2 respawns. I agree. See, Mr. X and me are on the exact same wavelength. I said it comes down
sounds logical.
to the first hardpoint. I'm not like just trying to repeat what he said, but it comes down to the first hardpoint. Whoever wins that one, search. What do you look at, DC? You say OG, a pretty good search team.
There's like a statistic, like, I don't know what it is. It's like a certain percentage of the time if you win the first map that you end up taking the series. It's pretty high though. It's like 70-80%.
Well, I think it's like, honestly, when you see OG versus FaZe, the first hard point is really important. Obviously, it's the first map. But either way, it's like the first hard point, whoever wins that, which could be either of them. Normally, it's going to be Optic, but it could be FaZe. They've won it in the past. The search and destroy, though, I think is where FaZe has their key for the fact that they're a really good search team at times. But if OG plays like they did at DC, only dropping 1 search map, it's like, you know. But they didn't play FaZe. That's the thing. They didn't play FaZe and search. So anything could happen. We'll see. But
FaZe did lose to teams you would expect them to 3-0.
That's true. They didn't get 3-0 by Justice, which I wonder if they were actually just kind of underestimating them, or if Justice was just really amazing. Like if was it FaZe versus Justice, or was it Justice versus a bad FaZe? Both. Bad FaZe.
Yeah. It's not a competitive seat.
I was there. I feel like whenever I was watching FaZe play, like, okay, for instance, I cast over Justice versus 3ZEP, which was whoever won that game automatically got into group play. The main thing, whenever that did happen, I think our mics were muted.
I'm sorry, guys. My mic was muted.
Would you like to reiterate what you said?
Sorry. Sorry, guys.
So what Goalie said was...
Okay, so apologies. The reason my mic was muted is because I'm having some bad weather outside, and I muted my mic to go look at the weather channel. So I'm sorry, guys.
How's the weather? How's the weather?
It's raining outside. I'll probably be fine, but I wanted to go check weather.
I hope you're fine.
So what I had said was they played the bad phase. Because...
We've seen
Justice
it before.
had played 2 matches already that day, and FaZe hadn't. That was pretty much
It's
what
like
I said.
What Optic used to be like on Fridays, because it was the first day they maybe weren't warmed up. Example of this is at UG Orlando, where they went 0-2 on day 1, and then came back to 2-2 and ended up winning the event. I know it's going back a bit, but it's happened to top teams in the past, because you've got teams that come out of the open bracket that have played umpteen hundred series, that are hot, they're fresh. And then you've got FaZe, who obviously they're maybe just waking up and thinking maybe it'll be easier than they expected.
Yeah, I think another thing to mention too, whenever I was casting over Justice and 3ZEP, like I said, the winner of that game advanced to play in their pool. Justice didn't look like extremely better than 3ZEP. Like they weren't necessarily, they didn't like dominate 3ZEP like you would imagine after, you know, or previously before, or later beating FaZe 3-0. That wasn't the same team. So I think, honestly, Justice did play the bad FaZe in a way. Like I don't think that FaZe, like Goalie said, wasn't playing the best. But we'll see. Anything could happen. We could see a phenomenal series, and honestly, I would prefer 2 Game 5s, round 11 for each of them, as a normal caster would. Not because of like everyone just says, oh, he's a caster, he's gonna say Game 5 round 11 because he's not smart enough to say anything else. I honestly want to see that because that would be insane for this event and later heading into Worlds. But we'll see what happens. But I think that's going to kind of do it for our predictions. And I think we're going to head to a commercial break to kind of answer a couple of questions from Twitter. So if you guys did miss my tweet, you can still ask questions. We can still try to answer them
and in the chat
later in the chat as well. So make sure to do that. But we'll be back with questions from Twitter after this quick commercial break. Boop. Boop. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I was listening to some music during the commercial break, and I liked it a lot, so I'm still dancing to it. So, hold on. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so we have some questions from Twitter. For those who do not know, we take questions from Twitter from you guys. We post them on Twitter before the show starts, and you guys ask us questions, and we also look at the chat throughout the entire show as well, taking from that also. So, as far as the wars go in the chat, let's keep those going. I like the... No, I'm kidding. I don't like the wars in the chat. Let's just be calm. As well, I believe someone put it very well in the chat. They said, "Why can't we all just get along?" Completely agree. Black Eyed Peas reference. Can we all not just get along? Where is the love, everyone? But we're gonna get to the first question, which does come from Team Justice, an organization, a phenomenal organization, I must say, if they're still watching. Hey, so the first question coming from @Justice_Pro is, why have snacks? So. We don't have a sponsor yet that provides us with snacks, so we don't necessarily have like little sandwiches here. We don't have little things, but I like jerky a lot. I'm just gonna say that right now. But I don't think that's what he meant. Big Snacks obviously is the owner of Justice, and guys, should we have Big Snacks on as a guest soon? In your opinion, should we have Mr. Snacks on?
Only if he brings us snacks.
Only if he brings us actual snacks.
Yeah, only if he brings
big
us
snacks, like
snacks.
massive. Does snacks mean like lunch? Like is big snacks? Does that mean like a meal?
I don't remember. Oh, he explained what it means when he did the 1v1 with Kingdom. If you guys want to check that out, somewhere on the YouTube channel. But yeah, I don't remember what it means. His family calls him Snacks and Big Snacks.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
weird.
Than...
My family calls me Landon. That's so weird to me. It's like totally not my name. Go ahead, though. Go ahead.
What is your name then?
We'll talk about it later on a different show. I'll discuss my gamer tag in a video on YouTube. Stay tuned. I'm just kidding. So like I said, so Big Snacks. Do we get actual snacks if he does come on? If so, anyone in the chat, I'm 100% sending people in the chat snacks as well if that's an option.
I just want to be able to sit in black.
But they're big snacks, so you're gonna have to eat a lot. Like you're eating a lot. So Tommy, should we have Big Snacks on?
I've never met him personally. He seems like a cool dude. I love it.
You love it? All right. It's an A+ from us. You're moving through. I feel like we're on like no one watches no one watches American Idol anymore, do they?
Well, American Idol's still a thing?
Apparently Goalie doesn't watch it.
I don't have cable.
Well, that would make sense. Tommy, what's the big thing in Europe? Like is it like the X Factor or something, or Britain's Got Talent?
You're right on the head there.
Am I? Which one? X Factor or Britain's Got Talent?
Both, really. They're different times of year. At the moment, it's X Factor. Then, like, May is Britain's Got Talent.
Interesting.
Interesting fact. I've been to see both.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Why would you want to do that?
Did you enjoy it?
They were free tickets.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
They were free? You guys have free tickets to go?
Yeah.
See, I would love to go to America's Got Talent. Because you like while you do sit there for a long time, you see so many different stuff. Like you see so many different talent. It'd be great. I would love to see that. Yeah. And maybe I could be on the show.
Talent's a lot more funner than.
Are you gonna cast competitive Call of Duty? Is that your talent?
you just imagine me sitting in my chair.
We are live at UMG Orlando.
We are live here at America's Got Talent in New York City. Thank you very much.
That would be interesting. That would be a very interesting.
So quickly.
America's Got Talent.
If there was a STiKS member to go on America's Got Talent and go, or American Idol, whatever it may be, if they were to go on a singing show, who would make it farther? Anyone in the STiKS fam, who would make it the farthest?
Oh no.
I feel like Goalie would make it pretty far.
I would definitely not make it far at all.
Kingdom would. No offense to Kingdom. He would make
Kingdom
it far.
would be preaching. Like, he would be...
True.
Like, he's an amazing speaker, so he would be
But
preaching.
this is singing though.
Um,
This is singing.
but he can preach. Like, he can just sing
It's
the
not
gospel.
singing.
Wow,
It's
that
okay.
was kind of bad. I shouldn't say that. Wow.
Okay, Tommy, who do you think would make it the farthest if there was a singing competition in the STiKS fam? Who would make it the farthest?
Out of who? You two or
The STiKS fam.
Anyone.
Anyone. Anyone at all.
I'm gonna go with
The Voice. Thank you, Flapstab. That's what I was thinking of. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go with Fox and Kingdom doing a little father-son
Yes.
duet and getting to the final but coming second. Like in another
Why second? Why
they get
second?
well, like another competition that a member
Because
of the
Landon's going to be casting and he's going to win first. That's what's happening. No.
No,
I would love to see that.
Goalie will have a
Father-son
sweetheart
duet.
story and come second. I produced.
Can we go to the next thing, please? This has gone
Yeah.
on way too long.
I was thinking of it and I was like, you know what? It'd be really interesting to see if we had like a contest for singing. I would choose goalie because goalie's not comfortable for singing in front of people, so I think he would do well and discover his new talent. So, next question, which actually I should have said that was from Justice. This one coming from Micah. His ad is Hilmickey's. Hilmickey.
You can figure it out. Just a couple
Yeah,
more
you
pronunciations. You got it. I believe in you.
Hilmickey's. I'm gonna say it's Hail Mickey. Hail Mickey.
It's
I don't
on
know.
screen,
Either way.
So anytime.
Okay, so do you think that it is worth making MLG events, not UMG in quotes, 18 plus to get or to get dev support for esports allowing to grow? So basically what he's saying, for those who can't read, is that if they do have developer support, will that help esports grow, or should they stick to the roots and basically let younger players play? Goalie, your thoughts about this question.
We kind of already talked about this.
I know, we usually do.
So to recap my opinion on it, we're gonna lose our younger age group if we don't allow our younger age group of competitive players if we don't allow them to play at LAN events like this. So I say they should, but I don't think that should be up to UMG. That should be Activision saying, hey, you can play this if you have a waiver, but only if you have a waiver. So I don't know. I don't know. It's really on Activision's end. If I was UMG, I would tell them to go to that they should be an 18 plus event, honestly. But but it's like you want to have developer support, man.
Exactly. I like that. It's a good answer, Mr. Tommy. You have anything better?
I'm just gonna second everything that Goalie says. I'm sure most of you guys by now, if you've watched it this far through, know our opinions. But yeah, there's pros and cons, but I think the cons probably outweigh the pros. Because yes, we could get developer support, but we're practically giving up a vast majority of our community, prize pool potentially, event organizations leaving the community, and so on and so forth.
And that could be a good thing. Like, maybe we're oversaturated in a sense.
Yeah,
And-
potentially. It could make it more exclusivity.
But then again, that's we don't know the right answer. We're not the ones making. Even the ones that are making the decision probably don't know the right answer. So
Shots. No,
that's what I'm gonna say. That's not shots at all. It's
Goalie takes what I say seriously.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as my opinion goes on the subject, UMG, they're really based on their. I mean, they're not necessarily super based, but I mean they've tried to do a lot of stuff for the open bracket. Like the top 4 teams you made from open bracket got awarded $1,000. So they're kind of in that situation where they're like, you know, we like the AM community, but I feel like they would kind of separate themselves and also kind of do that. I mean, you look at developer support, and you look at the underage crowd. You're going to go with the thing that's guaranteed. You're going to go with a developer support, not hating by any means on anyone who's under 18, just from a business standpoint. I feel like a lot of people kind of underestimate. They say, my favorite players drop, but it's a business.
You have to take into consideration that the only reason UMG has a business at all is because of the amateur Call of Duty scene.
It's true.
So,
will they stick to their roots or not? Stay tuned for another episode of.
maybe they won't even have to make that decision, and we're just talking about nonsense. But
maybe we're talking about something that won't even happen. It could happen.
Stop talking in circles, Landon.
I know. All right, next question, and I don't think this is actually showing up for you, goalie, but I'm gonna read it off anyway.
Yeah,
because it's still here for me.
deleted on my end.
So Sage Seiko, you should not delete your tweets because we actually like them. So Seiko tweets us. He says, "Do you think open bracket teams at UMG events or etc. will require you to be 18 or older?" Now, the problem with questions like these is that we have addressed them, and that we normally answer every single question from Twitter on the show.
Well, we just answered that question basically.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we do apologize, Sage Seiko, but we did already answer your question.
We
and
answered
Mr. Hail Mickey's question as well. So I don't think the chat is kind of up with us right now. Like I could ask them to ask a question, but we'd have to wait.
Yeah, chat's 45 seconds behind approximately.
So I don't really want to wait that long and to kind of end. Like I don't want to like wait that long to prolong anymore. So we're gonna kind of end the show on a happy note there. But I'm gonna let everyone give their 30-second outros. You give shout to whoever you want for however long you want to, but you have 30 seconds. I don't know, sponsors, whatever, what have you. You shout them out. I'm gonna start with Mr. Tommy, then go to goalie, and then I will end out the show myself. So Tommy, if you would be ever so kind to give your outro, as you do shake.
I can do that for you. My name's Tommy, guys. I'd really appreciate you all watching the show. What is the STiKS Live? The chat's been really active today, and I really love it. I love talking to you guys. I love the chat being active. It's always good to debate about the 18+ thing and everything. If you want to follow me on Twitter, YouTube and stuff, you can find links somewhere. Just type in Tommy Esports. I'll may link it in the chat. Selfless plug, but oh well. But yeah, I've been your residential ginger, and good night.
Thank you, Scump. All right, goalie.
My name's Goalie. I had a good time on tonight. Thank you guys for stopping by. If you guys want to watch any more other discussions about the 18+ debate or like discussion that we've had, I know these two both uploaded videos today, and we also have 2 videos on the STiKS Live. We had a discussion with the Grumpy Old Gamer, which is the guest we had on today for a little bit. We also had on Martin Wyatt, and those were both for the EU show a while ago. So it's still relevant because it's the same. We basically talked about the same thing and had the same discussion, but it's worth going back and checking those out. Once again, shout out to Steel Series. You guys are awesome. Thanks for sending me this out. I need to try out the mix amp or the headset adapter because it looks really cool. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.
Have a wonderful day. But ladies and gentlemen, it's been your dude, your bro, your pal, your man, your ally, and then it's been Landon. Guys, thank you so much for coming out to the show. Shout out to the STiKS fam, whether you're on the stream live or you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on a secondhand site where they did actually pirate it. We'll be in contact very shortly about such things. So guys, thank you so much for watching this one. I do upload YouTube videos. You guys should check those out. I also stream every couple months, so make sure to stay tuned because it is rare. STiKS Live every week at basically the same time, except for this time it was Tuesday. We always do give you guys a little bit of heads up when that does happen. Shout out to our sponsors, both Scuff and G Fuel, for helping us kind of move through our show, because they do help us. They do power us to be better gamers, even though I do suck. But it does help me a little bit to be a little bit better, because Scuff controllers do that for you, as well as G Fuel for powering us. We do appreciate that as well. So guys, that has been it for the STiKS Live. We do appreciate all your guys' support. I'm not gonna keep laughing, and we will see you guys for the next episode on Monday. Peace.
Or at some point.
Or at some point. Tuesday, we don't know. See you guys later. Boop. Nice, Tommy. We correlate.